The man in a field mouse suit. Leo's tome had carried the day, even though he hadn't got entirely the respect he thought he deserved. Back at home, though, he had more pressing problems. Big problems. Problems riding horses. Problems wielding axes and swords. Problems heading for Rome. The Huns were coming. The Huns were a savage race who didn't bother with little distractions like houses or cooking or hygiene. They slept in the open and wore clothing made from the skins of field mice, which must have needed a lot of stitching, one would have thought. Their leader was Attila, a swarthy, bearded man with beady little eyes. Maybe that's why he liked wearing field mice skins. He looked like one. A big one. A big, scary one. In 452, this particular field mouse was on the rampage, heading for Rome, when he stopped. No one knows why Attila the Hun stopped outside Rome, but Leo somehow persuaded Attila to halt. How he did it, we don't know. The traditional story credits Leo with persuading him that terrible wrath of God-style punishments will be visited on Attila and his army. A more likely explanation involves a short conversation and a huge amount of money. That maybe their supply lines were seriously overstretched. Maybe Leo threatened to read Attila his tome if he didn't behave. Or maybe the Huns had heard of a large number of troops from Constantinople who were heading their way. Whatever the case, Attila turned back. He died a year later following a particularly strenuous wedding night with one of his many brides. He was buried inside 3 coffins, one of lead, one of silver and one of gold. And all those who witnessed his burial were killed. As a security strategy, it was highly successful. His tomb has never been found. But you know how it is with barbarians. You wait for ages, and then they all come along at once. 3 years later, Gaiseric and his Vandals arrived, and they did not turn back. Leo met with them outside the walls and again pleaded for moderation. He managed to persuade them only to sack and loot the city, but not to burn it to the ground. Leo may not have got the respect he deserved in Chalcedon, but he's widely respected in Rome, and that is why he is one of the only 2 popes known as the Great. When he died, he was buried in the porch of St. Peter's. But 200 years later, he was reburied inside the Basilica of St. Peter's itself, the first pope to be accorded this honour. By the time of his death, however, the decline and fall of the Roman Empire was complete. Rome was a shadow of its former self. The buildings were ruined and the glory long gone. Yes, there was no doubt about it. The mighty Roman Empire, TM, had definitely both declined and falled. And that's where we come to the end of chapter 3. Wow, plodding on through this. We've done about 40 episodes of this, I think. There should be another 80 to go, so to the end of this book, we're about a third of the way in, as you can see. Alright, anyway, tomorrow we carry on with more about barbarians, Byzantium and Benedict.